Hello, and welcome to the Canadian political scene. Today, we will look at the controversy behind a secret PMO fund for partisan dealings.
June 6, 2013. Liberal Party spokesman Kate Monfette said the party pays for expenses for its leader that are, quote, strictly partisan in nature, end quote, and unrelated to parliamentary duties, so, quote, as to ensure the separation between parliamentary activities and political activities. That is precisely what the Conservative Party of Canada does. When the Prime Minister has exclusively partisan expenses, they are paid by the Conservative Party of Canada Fund, which is controlled by the Conservative Party itself.
That was Conservative MP Pierre Poilievre changing the tune on a CBC report that found that the Conservatives have a secret fund within the PMO for partisan expenses. Now, does that expand to the Duffy affair? Well, so far the answer is no, but here's the report that initially broke from CBC.
Questions keep coming about that now infamous $90,000 check cut by the Prime Minister's former Chief of Staff, Nigel Wright, to cover inappropriate expenses claimed by Senator Mike Duffy. And we'll begin tonight with a CBC News exclusive. Our Greg Weston has been digging into the Conservative money trail, and he's come up with some surprising new information. What kind of cash funds are operating out of the Prime Minister's office? What are the links to the Conservative Party? We'll have MPs Chris Alexander, Charlie Angus, and Roger Cuzner standing by to react to this story. But first, here's Greg Weston with the exclusive details. Greg, new information. What can you tell us tonight?
Rosemary, CBC has learned that the Prime Minister's former Chief of Staff, Nigel Wright, at the time that he was cutting that now infamous $90,000 check to Mike Duffy, had control over a secret fund in the Prime Minister's office. This is a fund that is the money in it comes from the Conservative Party, and sources tell us at any given time there may have been up to $1 million in that fund. It was apparently a very closely guarded secret for a long time in the Prime Minister's office. It was logistically supposed to pay for partisan things that the taxpayers wouldn't pay for. Of course, the thing with party funds is that more than half of those ultimately come from taxpayers because they're made up of donations and taxpayers get refunds. So there's about half of that money is taxpayers' money. The nub of this is not whether Nigel Wright dug into that fund to pay Mike Duffy. The question has always been, okay, if the Chief of Staff to the Prime Minister took $90,000 out of his personal bank account to pay a senator for bad expense accounts, was somebody going to reimburse him somehow? And so here suddenly we have this fund sitting there and Nigel Wright, as Chief of Staff, had exclusive signing authority over it.
Okay, so what are Conservatives and government officials telling us about the fund tonight?
Well, naturally, we went to both the Prime Minister's office and to the party. The Prime Minister's official spokesman, Andrew McDougall, referred us to the party, so we went to the party. Fred Deloria, spokesman for the party, had this to say, simply, the Prime Minister at times incurs expenses that are best paid by the party. So these would be those kind of partisan parties. But that's it. We had a very long list of questions for him. One of those questions was, okay, if that's true, could that money have been used to pay Mike Duffy, or could that money have been used to reimburse Nigel Wright for paying Mike Duffy? And the answer that came back was simply, it didn't happen. That was not what happened. It was a private check from him. So not really a direct answer there. Andrew McDougall, the Prime Minister's press secretary, as I said, referred us to the party on most of the questions except for one, and he wanted to underscore that the money paid to Mike Duffy was a personal check.
When the initial leak was brought out on June 6th, Conservative MP Chris Alexander admitted that there was a secret fund.
Hello.
Chris Alexander, we'll start with you. Can you give us any details about why the Prime Minister's office has a fund run out of the office by the Chief of Staff?
Sure. Well, first let me be very clear, further to Greg Weston's report, that the Prime Minister and everyone on our side has confirmed that this money, Conservative Party of Canada money, was not used to repay Senator Duffy. Nigel used his own funds. And you said that, I just want to underline it and amplify it. The fund does exist because Prime Ministers are also leaders of their party. That has been the case historically in Canada, and they incur costs for party polling, for party-related events that should be, and certainly under this government, with our high standards of accountability, are paid for not by taxpayers, but by the party itself. And that's what the fund existed for and was used for exclusively.
That was Chris Alexander on the secret PMO fund. And while 18 hours after the PMO responded to the first story, they decided to change their tune and say that the CBC made the whole thing up.
Well, the Conservative Party has just released a statement on a CBC investigation into a secret PMO fund. The party calls the information false and says everything the party does is above board. James Fitzmaurice is following all developments and joins us now with more on this Conservative Party statement. So just tell me more about what the party is saying today, James.
No, that's right. This is a statement just issued now in which they, as you point out, call CBC's reporting on this false and even go on to call it shoddy. They then start to say that that there is no secret Conservative fund run by the PMO, that all funds are for party activities are paid from one account that is controlled by the party. What's interesting about that, of course, is that the party spokesperson that issued this statement was not saying that earlier this week when contacted by CBC about the story before we reported it. In fact, confirmed that there was indeed a fund that was had signing authority by the Chief of Staff to the Prime Minister.
How can this be a lie when the Conservatives admitted to it just 18 hours before making these accusations?
Canada, and they incur costs for party polling, for party-related events that should be, and certainly under this government, with our high standards of accountability, are paid for not by taxpayers, but by the party itself. And that's what the fund existed for and was used for exclusively.
The secret PMO fund raises more questions than it does answers. See, if the Conservatives know about the money that's being spent on their leader, and if they aren't going to be surprised by the expenditures, then why not just do like what every other government in the past did and just declare it under their party's name? Why do they need a secret fund? Why is it secret? Today they're denying and they're saying that that's what they did, but we look at yesterday when it was all secret and they were very mute. In fact, they admitted to it. So now I'm going to leave the question to you. Was there a secret PMO fund? What was it used for? Why does it exist? Now, if you like this video and if you like our other videos, do check them out. Subscribe to this channel. It only takes 2 seconds. Not all of the content that I release is on this channel, so do like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and on Google Plus for the latest updates. That leaves the question back to you then. What do you think of Stephen Harper's integrity? We've got a secret PMO fund. We don't know why it exists and why the Conservatives flip-flopped within 18 hours about it. And right now they're denying that there was any involvement in the Duffy affair, but do you believe them?
How far would you extend that? Just watch me.